Hello and welcome to the Bel-E and Scratch podcast. I am your host, Bel-E.
And I am your co-host, Mr. Scratch.
And today we'll be continuing our little thing into, the fifth element.
It's a safari.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Up first, spoiler alert.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Oh, wait, hang on. Can I change that mid-recording? I hope so. Yep. Sorry, wrong button was still there. Or wrong number was still there. Anyway, we will be going into some deeper spoiler stuff. Where we last left off, we were talking about Zurg killing the mercenary Mangalore people with the gun.
And smell.
Apparently so.
Spoiler alert, they smell.
Yeah.
Who smelt it? Or they who dealt it? They smell.
Yeah.
So don't be crying to us. We warned you. Spoiler alerts ahead.
Oh, yeah. So basically where we last left off, Zurg killed those dudes with the gun, and Lilu was telling Cornelius about she's basically telling him about who they left the actual stones to. This diva.
Correct. Well, at least where to find the stone. Yeah, absolutely.
So, there's a little bit of a sequence that follows this information getting not only to Cornelius, but also the government, where the president receives the same information from the people, from the robotic alien folk that got blown up, along with Miss Fifth Element lady.
Yeah.
So, basically now everyone knows where to find these stones, and they need to find these stones by getting to this diva lady who is having a concert on this flying space hotel out in somewhere. I don't remember where. The nebula?
The angel system?
I don't know. It's sci-fi. You could say, it's in the quark section, and it'll make sense.
Well, they did a good thing. They didn't go too deep into that whole science fiction, fantasy, made-up word stuff. That's one of the things that makes it very relatable.
Yeah, there's only so many sci-fi mediums that can pull off the technobabble, where you honestly are not a scientist, but you're trying to write like a scientist.
Very few.
I would argue that Star Trek: The Next Generation kind of gets a little bit ahead of themselves with technobabble, but that's not what we're talking about today. Not today. Even then, I haven't watched any of The Next Generation. I'm working on that. I'm still trying to chew my way through the original Star Trek cast movies, so
it's worth a shot.
I think I'm about to watch The Voyage Home, but wait, was the fourth one? Yeah, the fourth one's The Voyage Home, ain't it?
Yeah, Voyage Home.
Yeah, because the fifth one is The Final Frontier, and then officially Next Generation starts. But anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself.
Yep.
So the government, Cornelius, and now Zurg, due to a spy, now everyone knows where to get the stones.
They all descend on Corbin Dallas's domicile.
Oh yeah. So there's a little bit of a order of events that happens. Corbin is arguing with his mother back at his apartment.
Correct.
Who is just whooping him.
Apparently he's won a contest on the radio.
Supposedly. He won this this contest that's going to this flying hotel to meet the diva. Free tickets alongside Ruby Rhod. Who is probably in the top 3 best parts of this movie. I don't care who you are.
You got to make sure on that Rod, you got to do that down speak on the back part of that.
You're right. Rod.
Yeah,
you're right.
It's outrageous.
Yeah, anyone who hates on Ruby Rhod, I got a problem with you, and I suggest you let that marinate.
Yeah. That too.
But anyway, we're getting a little ahead of ourselves again. So what happens is Corbin's mom is just busting him over these tickets that he supposedly won, and Corbin obviously is like, what do you mean? My car just got trashed.
Yeah.
Some lady I picked up, she ran off without paying her fee. Like, what are you talking about, contest?
And there's an unlit cigarette somewhere in there.
Yeah, somewhere in there.
Can never get his cigarette lit. Or you always see him holding it. Only the bad dudes get the cigarette lit.
Clearly.
Yeah.
So Corbin, he used to be Special Forces. I'm sure they name it in the movie, but for the life of me, it's usually just Special Forces in these movies.
Which is like every white male lead since, I don't know, 1762.
At least. Yeah, because I think in the 60s that you were allowed to be more specific, like, oh, Navy, Marines, Army, Air Force. But for some reason, after a while, it's like, no, that's not good enough. You're not just military. You're like super military.
Yeah. And you could get like overboard and really spoofy if you had enough scantily clad women peppered throughout the feature.
Well, it was the 60s, and they had to evolve at some point.
Yeah.
Not by much, I guess.
Put some clothes on.
Yeah. So what ends up happening is the people who were in charge of Dallas's old unit, I don't know, some dude and another dude.
Character actor, I cannot think of his name, but he's
good.
A bunch of stuff.
Yeah, he's good.
And he's always like that big punk ass, smart ass dude. Especially if he's an authority figure.
Oh yeah.
With a gun.
Oh yeah. And it's the same one who Lilu just whooped when she woke up out of her containment chamber.
Oh yeah, he's the one that pissed her off.
Yeah, he's the one that made her upset. Like he's
Turn
like he
got cat food. Yeah, I remember that guy now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that guy's good.
He is good.
So he shows up So basically, the military man shows up with with two subordinates.
Which quite, I have to say, I was quite. I thought the military uniform was a lot less militant looking than the police uniform, which looked like
SWAT gear,
freaking battle armor.
Yeah, that's kind of
they just dance in there. You know, everything's color coordinated.
I guess that means that they're officers, but the people on the ground actually has to have like super body armor because they're in the middle of it.
It just really fit the whole, the whole look of the movie.
Yeah. Well, I mean, to a degree, that's kind of the same thing in real life, where the people on the ground, like among the actual people, they're the ones with the extra armaments and the extra weapons, the extra training.
Oh, absolutely.
Whereas people who are not in the thick of it, as so to speak, they're more in dress uniforms and more ceremonial stuff.
Blend in more.
Yeah, blend in more. They don't, because they're not the guys that are going to get,
OCS camouflage. Yeah, I got you.
Yeah, I guess. I'm not military, so it's just a guess.
Sure.
So these three military people show up and it's like, oh, Corbin Dallas, we heard about your win on the radio. And Corbin's like, I'm not doing it.
Not doing it.
And the military is like, you finna go into space to save the world, my dude. Cause the entire human race is at stake here, because there's there's some evil that's gonna come down on us.
You see him as an actor, you see him transition into where it's almost plausible.
Yeah.
But then head guy introduces Corbin Dallas's escort.
Oh yeah. You see what happens
Iceborg.
Yeah, Iceborg. Oof.
That was her name, Iceborg.
Really?
Yes, Iceborg.
I had no clue who she was.
That's right.
Dang.
Yeah.
Basically,
it was a quite striking appearance.
Basically, the tickets it's like tickets for two for like a couple, a couple's resort type of deal.
Yeah.
So what ended up happening...
It's like a space cruise ship.
Yeah, kind of a space cruise ship. So what ends up happening is, the military guy's like, hey, you're going to go save the world after, the fifth time he's had to say it or something. And then he goes, oh, you're going to be taking Lieutenant What's-Her-Face. And it's this, I'm not going to say she's ugly, but she's definitely thick.
She's a healthy girl.
She's a very thick lady. I'm talking like 4 C's thick. You know how the kids nowadays... What am I talking about? I am the kids nowadays.
Exactly.
Jesus. People nowadays, they spelling thick, THICC. No, she's like 4 C's. She's thick. Thick. So...
Yeah.
And Corbus is like... no. Or Corbin, excuse me. Yeah, he's like, I am not going with her.
Yes.
And the military guy, he kind of looks her up and down and goes, Why not? It kind of almost in like a what, you kidding me kind of way?
Are you kidding me?
Really? Confirmed. That man likes them thick. He likes them chunky. Moto, whatever.
Yeah.
All right, and so around that same time,
once they get established what they're trying to do,
I think
trying to get him to do, how they facilitated putting him in the spot to do it.
Yeah, and I think they cut back to Zurg, and that's when he has his phone call with Mr. Shadow, who goes through the receptionist. I am never gonna get over this. It cuts to Zurg's receptionist.
That's a very good observation.
Yeah, it cuts to Zurg's receptionist, who's like changing her fingernail paint, which sure, I would do that. And she's like, "Oh, 1 second, may I ask who's calling? Thank you." And then it cuts to Zurg in his office. He's looking out the window, and God, there's like one scene.
How can you park a call from Infinite Evil?
Yeah, that's actually something I've always wondered about. Hang on. Before we get to this, there's like one scene I always forget about it, but when I do see it, it's amazing. It's like these two veteran actors combating against each other in like acting quality. There's a scene, I don't remember where this takes place. I think it takes place earlier in the film, like way earlier. Mm-hmm. It's the confrontation between Cornelius and Zurg. Do you remember what I'm talking about?
Oh, when Cornelius was in Zurg's office?
Yes. For some reason, I always forget about this, but when I see it, it's like, oh, this is like one of the best things I've ever seen.
Yeah.
I don't mean to segue. I forget where this happens. It's earlier in the film, I believe. Definitely before all this starts going down. Definitely before, the Corbin Dallas wins the tickets. What happens is, for some reason, I forget why, I don't know if he was summoned.
Isn't it before Corbin shows up at Cornelius's apartment with Lulu?
Yeah, this is definitely before.
Okay, this is right before that.
Yeah. No. This is like earlier, like before Corbin even becomes a primary figure, before those two even met.
Oh, okay, all right.
So for some reason, Cornelius the priest is in Zurg's office. I don't remember why.
Yes, he's looking for the stones.
Yeah, he's looking for the stones too.
And Cornelius is a
he's like the closest person who would know where they would be.
Yes, that's correct.
So
it's his order that is associated with the stones.
Oh yeah, and so they basically have this philosophical debate back and forth. And I don't remember exactly what was said.
Correct.
I don't remember exactly what was said, but.
Basically, Gary Oldman is preaching his perspective,
which is chaos.
Which is chaos.
Chaos is what creates jobs, more people, in order for people to keep fixing the chaos.
Yeah,
because
jobs. Yeah, chaos creates jobs. Like he's talking about it like it's an economic engine for a country.
Which, to be fair, he's not incorrect. Yes. And he is talking about how peace, in peaceful times, people get laid off, people don't get fed because they don't have jobs to go to. The economic engine is in a downturn.
Definitely character-wise represents the industrial.
That hardcore.
Complex.
Yeah, that hardcore industrial economic complex. Yes. Meanwhile, Cornelius being a peace, therefore a man of the cloth, a man of faith.
Priest. Yeah.
Yeah. He preaches, peace because it's better than chaos, because in chaos, people are, people are hurt, and he's not a soldier.
So, of course, regardless, he's not going to preach. He's not going to preach war.
He's not going to preach war.
He's not going to soldier.
Yeah, and he's not going to preach chaos because, men of the cloth, they don't enjoy chaos as anybody else would. Mm. Typically speaking.
It does give them work, but...
It gives them work, but that doesn't mean you want to do it.
Chaos amplifies someone in Gary Oldman's character.
Yeah.
A storyline.
Now, granted, whether you agree with one side versus the other, the way I always like this scene for one of the reasons, which is they structure the argument to where neither side is more correct than the other. They both have their points.
Yes.
They both have their points, but ultimately it's you, the viewer / listener, that has to determine which ideology you agree with.
That's right. They do a really good job of making both sides of the fence accessible.
Yeah. And that's called... Jesus, I'm way louder than you. and that's called good writing.
Yes. It's very well written.
Yeah, it doesn't tell you what the answer is. It presents both sides of the argument and allows you to determine who is correct.
Yes.
And then it goes from this semi-philosophical debate into possibly one of the greatest scenes I've ever seen Gary Oldman do.
Yes.
Because this whole time he's eating cherries out of his bowl, and that's how you know he's a villain, because he's being an a-hole eating fruit.
Yes. Yes. Like Nero.
Yeah, oh yeah, definitely. And at some point during the end of Zurg's argument, where he's like, look at all these little robots cleaning up the glass they just broke. All these little people, they'll make more people, and they'll have jobs, and the wheel keeps turning. He chokes on a cherry.
Yeah, he's strutting around like a peacock in a new suit, and all of a sudden he's like, oh.
That's actually kind of ironic, because in Kung Fu Panda 2, the villain is a peacock voiced by Gary Oldman.
Ooh.
Yeah, remember which microphone you're talking into.
All right.
Yeah, sorry, we're kind of testing two setups today. One is actually being put out there, and the other one we're hopefully gonna get it to work. It's a little bit fancier. Hopefully it'll sound better.
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus, I fat clipped the mic. So what ends up happening is
Your ears bleeding yet?
Ew. Hope not.
Nah.
So Zurg, he just straight up is starting to legitimately choke on this cherry. His face is turning red. His eyes are bulging out of his head. He's like smacking his throat and his chest.
The universal I'm choking sign when he puts both hands around his throat.
Yeah, and there's like a number keypad right on either his left or his right, which you press a certain combination, it just launches some things out.
Sure.
He is just smashing it.
He's trying to get his receptionist.
Yeah, he's trying to get his receptionist, or maybe like security. He's trying to get help, basically. Just keyboard smashing this number pad, and things just pop up. Like a pet, flyers, lamps, all this sorts of random stuff just pops out of his desk or out of the wall. And Cornelius...
And what he really does is just lock himself in the room.
And he literally locked himself in the room with the priest.
Yeah, locked the outside people out.
Yeah, so if hypothetically Cornelius did nothing, he would have died and the movie would have been over.
It's a pretty good setup.
That was a really good setup. So... Cornelius, who is completely unfazed, he actually starts to get a little bit of a smug look on his face. Like, just a little bit of smug, priestly smug look. Where
I think you're entitled.
Yeah, you're entitled.
Everybody, expects, well, you're a man of the cloth.
No.
No. You've been shooting your mouth off for the past 30 minutes, and now you're about to reap what you're sowing. So God forgive me, I'm going to enjoy that. Just a little.
So he gets this priestly smug look, and he goes, where's the arm to pat your back? Or perhaps the receptionist, you did lock the door.
Yes.
And he goes around...
Domino mother...
Yeah, pretty much. And so he goes around Zurg's desk, and by this point... Oldman, he legitimately looks like he can't breathe. Like, I believe this man held his breath whole scene. Oh my god. We don't mean to fawn over Gary Oldman, but Jesus, he's so good.
His work is impeccable.
He is just oof, dang. I would have a drink with that dude. He looks like he's about to pass out. He's turning blue by this point, like actual blue. Right. So that leads me to believe, I think this man is actually holding his breath for this long.
He's doing something.
Either
that or he's got some battery cables clamped to his crotch or something. He looks like he's suffering.
Yeah, he looks like the picture of suffering via suffocation. And Cornelius, he says something to the effect of, now all this talk of chaos, all of this brought down by one single cherry. And you see him wind his hand up and smacks
boom
in his back, and he spits out the cherry.
Delivering the line with the pauses was just poetic.
Oh, it was beautiful. These two great actors, Ian Malcolm.
Is it Ian Malcolm?
Damn it. Do I have to look up the cast again? No. You keep talking. Basically, at some point, I'll do it.
Yeah, we're just talking. He's the Hobbit and the Lord. He's Bilbo.
He's Bilbo.
Big deal. No, I'm not gonna do it. Anyway,
you chill out. I don't know what you planning over there, but don't do it.
Jimbo Baggins. He was Bilbo Baggins' second cousin, twice removed. He was up in a holler somewhere. Anyway, where you at?
I want to know where you're at. Ian Holm. I was right.
It was close. Yeah.
I was
Ian
right.
Holmes, yeah.
So
he's been in a ton of stuff.
Yeah, he's dead now, unfortunately.
Yeah. Long career. Good.
So stuff. Eventually Zurg throws him out. Sorry, I just wanted to talk about that scene because it's one of my favorite of the movie.
I don't know why this triggered this thought, but I'm just going to tell you.
Yeah.
When those two bodybuilders came in, the two guards, whatever,
to throw him out
and snatched him up.
Yeah.
I kind of knew going into it that this was a British sci-fi. Definitely European. But when those two bodybuilders came in and snatched that dude up, wearing what they were wearing, shorts so tight you could see their pulse. I knew right then. I was like, "This is a British movie, absolutely."
This is definitely European.
Definitely European.
Jesus,
if it had been made in this country,
probably would not have had
it
that.
Might have been written for two big beefy dudes in tight pants, but they definitely would have stuck some chicks in there. So probably.
Sorry, I didn't mean to segue from the sequence.
No, it's a good exchange. I mean, it's worth a conversation at least.
So anyway, back to the whole sequence of people are trying to get Corbin Dallas because he has the tickets to the thing. So let's see, the military people go in and Corbin's like, hell no, I won't go. Then it cuts the receptionist who puts the evil entity on hold.
Excuse me while I park this call. Don't tang.
Exactly. She puts the evil entity on hold. Which I have no words.
And so far as a spherical representation of evil in this context, exactly is I don't know, is 5G applicable? I mean, what kind of phone is this brother using?
Well, to be fair, this is like approximately 500 years in the future. This is probably like 24G by this point.
Yeah, but he still picks up a
phone and
picks up a phone, right? He's
talking to this evil entity that's like three galaxies away.
Thank God.
Yeah. And just
so he's still, he's talking to
he's talking to this Mr. Shadow dude.
Mr. Shadow. Am I bothering you? It's kind of like a cross between James Hetfield and Kermit the Frog.
Yeah. and then you bass boosted the crap out of that voice.
Yeah.
He's like, am I bothering you, Mr. Zurg? Except way more bassy.
Yeah. Ooh, ominous. So,
I didn't know I could do that.
It's an interesting transition.
Yeah, and what's so weird, here's kind of something I never understood even when I watched it as a kid. Now, there's little exchanges happening where the evil entity is like, I want the stones. Get me the stones.
Yes.
And Zurg is like, okay, I'll get you this stone. Like, he's very...
Yeah, and there's no backstory on that relationship.
No.
You don't know exactly. I mean,
they don't explain...
Did he, take out an ad in the back of National Geographic?
Yeah, like, who contacted who first?
Maybe there was a flyer up on the cork board in the student lunchroom. Exactly how did these two get together?
I don't know.
It's never addressed, thank God.
But if there's one thing I didn't understand, even as a kid when I watched that, when Zurg is being threatened by this thing on the phone, the top of his head starts bleeding,
Oh,
except the blood is way too dark.
Yeah,
it looked like barbecue sauce.
It does. It does have a raspberry jam shine to it.
Yeah, and you know the difference.
Yes, I do. Yes.
So even as a kid, I'm like, why does this guy have like barbecue sauce on his head? But all these years later, I realized, wait, is he bleeding? Is he bleeding? That's too dark. That'd be like the color of dried blood, but not fresh.
Why, it's hickory smoked.
Hickory smoked typo.
Typo. Would you like that hickory or mesquite?
I'd like it country fried.
Wow. No, I thought the same. I mean, it looks good, in his reaction to it
is like, what the fuck?
It's classic.
Uh-huh.
You know, but I'm pretty sure somewhere in there he's thinking, Jesus, why does this smell like cedar?
Oh, that's some Texas barbecue sauce, son.
Absolutely.
Imported. Real nice. But, so... Then it cuts back, I believe so. I swear to God, this is being told out of order, but we're not doing it on purpose.
No.
So it cuts back to Corbus's his apartment.
Yes.
And now Lilu's there.
Yes, with the
priest, but you don't see the priest right away.
No, you don't. He opens the door, and there she is.
Yeah, and there she is. So Corbus immediately throws all three of those military folk in the fridge.
Yes.
Because he doesn't want...
It's one of my favorite scenes when he stuffs three people in a space meant for... Well, technically not ever meant for one.
Uh-huh.
But he gets three people stuffed in this spot. Mm-hmm. Closes the door.
He's like, not all three of us can fit. Yes, you will.
Yes, you will. Boom,
Slam. Basically doesn't want the military... He figures that if the military wants these stones, they probably shouldn't have their hands on the chick that ran away from them.
It's tight quarters.
Very tight quarters.
Whether they want to or not, there's some kind of fluid exchange going on in there. I mean, it's tight quarters.
Oh yeah. So what ends up happening is he opens the door and lets her in, and Cornelius just shows up. He's got a gun, and he's pointing it at Dallas, and he's like, we heard about your luck on the radio. We'll be taking those tickets now. Like, he's really nervous and scared, because obviously he's a priest with a gun, and...
Oh, absolutely.
Typically, priests don't have guns?
No. Typically.
I don't even think they established where he got the gun from, but that's neither here nor there.
Your Templar Knight, maybe.
Sure. Yeah, if you're like one of those monks that are trained to kill people, that'd be something different.
Or something.
Yeah. So, before they actually open the door, I forget. Before Lilu and Cornelius goes to the door, they take like this kind of like this.
No, Lilu does it.
No, Lilu does it. Okay, yeah. Lilu, before she opens,
she
takes like this door tag with his name on it.
Yeah, the title card,
his
door,
title
whatever,
card,
and puts it on the apartment next door.
Yeah, like someone else's door, basically. And the reason that was a good idea is because about what do you want to say, 2-3 minutes later, there's like a police raid on the building. They're looking for Corbin Dallas.
It was extremely dystopian the way the police took this building.
Yeah, it's like
they literally
showed
walked up to a little command post thing, inserted a key, and set an alarm off for the entire building, as if it gave me the impression that the building was almost prison-like.
Well, that's a big theme of dystopia in anything.
Yes, that's true.
So basically this alarm, it locks the entire building down, and Corbin, he basically he stuffs Cornelius into the bed, which wraps him in it. He puts Lilu in the shower, which lifts up to reveal another refrigerator. And he puts his hands on these two circles on the wall, which
that you don't see. Yeah, exactly.
You see it a little bit, and you're like, "What are those yellow circles for?" This is what they're for a police raid.
Yeah.
And the military just swarms this building. Apparently, Zurg put some kind of hit out for Corbin to capture him and get his tickets so he can get the stones.
Yeah, I'm thinking police.
Yeah. So, yeah, oh no, it was definitely the police that showed up.
Police.
Yeah, definitely the police that showed up.
Full body armor.
Yeah, full body armor. It's they look like SWAT, but they're not.
They look like they're all wearing like bomb squad type stuff.
Yeah, bomb squad, SWAT team type stuff, but it's just the normal police. I hate to see what the actual bomb squad SWAT team in this universe looks like. Although to be fair, the bomb squad is probably just robots because they're expendable.
Hey.
And the SWAT team are probably like cyborg. You
can fly through space. You can just do anything.
Yeah, pretty much.
Launch it into the stratosphere.
Yeah, you just completely uncouple that piece of ground and then just launch it into the sun.
Sure.
Sun's not going anywhere for billions of years, I think. I'm not a scientist. So, a police officer puts some kind of futuristic X-ray machine over where those yellow circles would be to see the face of the person with their hands on the yellow circles.
Yes.
And they go as something like, "Sir, please identify yourself. Are you human?" Because there are aliens in this universe.
Yeah.
And Corbin goes, negative. I am a meat popsicle.
Yeah, it's one of the sweetest lines and all. You know, how come Bruce Willis gets so many good lines? Negative. I am a meat popsicle.
Yeah, pretty much.
He gets yippee-ki-yay from
Die Hard.
From Die Hard.
Yeah. He gets meat popsicle from this movie.
Meat popsicle from this movie.
I believe I would like to say Arnold definitely coined more.
Yes.
But in terms of quality, in my opinion, that hasn't been turned into absolute jokes. Bruce Willis got a little bit better quality lines that haven't been turned into like memes or anything.
Well, that is true.
Even though meat popsicle deserves to be a meme.
Well, you can. There's so many fluid and applicable actions for meat popsicle.
Yeah.
Versus Sarah Connor.
It's true.
So.
But, and then they go to the guy next to him. They go to the apartment next to him where, Lilu had stuffed Corbin's door tag or something. And this is the other really good line in this scene.
Dude.
Where this cracker who's shaving his face with a knife, so you know he's crazy, right?
He's shaving his head with like this fantasy knife, this stuff that, you only see drawings of.
Yeah.
He's got this actual blade.
And he's shaving like half his head, and the police are like, "Sir, please put your hands in the yellow circles." And then he goes to the door, tilts his head sideways, like exactly where the police have their X-ray machine.
That's correct.
And he screams, "Smoke you!"
Smoke you!
Which is like, what?
Yeah, exactly.
You're just going, what?
They immediately flash back to Bruce Willis's character.
Yeah, he's kind of muttering.
The movie badass.
Yeah, he's kind of muttering wrong answer, and then they just flash bang the second dude and haul him away in a net.
Wow, you ought to see this thing. It looks like a really big.
Like it's not a fishing net. It's like some sort of plastic bottle carrier net thing.
Dude, it's like an empanada.
I don't know what that is.
It's a big old pouch full of meat, and this meat is the dude that they just smoked out of the room, and they're dragging him down the hall. This thing has got handles on it. Mm-hmm. It's quite the.
It's very advanced.
It's very advanced. I'm sure it exists somewhere.
Yeah, I guarantee you it's about to exist.
Yeah.
I can kind of...
It didn't before, it does now, absolutely.
Because that's how sci-fi works.
So they're dragging him out.
Yeah, and the police just go, thank you for your cooperation. Everyone, please have a wonderful day. Boop. Boop. And then they retract the alarm.
Ramp.
Yeah. Ramp. And then they retract the alarm. And Dallas is like, at first he gets to Lilu, who has just been soaked by the shower auto wash.
There was this other great dynamic, and that really shows it. This great dynamic of this really violent activity.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden there's this sensual sexual things just interjected into it, just kind of transitions out of that.
Yeah,
she's all dripping
tone.
wet, and he's like, oh.
Yeah, and he wraps her up in a blanket. He's trying to get her warm because she's just shivering, and she's like muttering out Cornelius.
Yeah.
And then you hear some slight muffled screaming.
Yeah.
And Corbin's like, oh God! And the bed had apparently saran wrapped itself with Cornelius on it. He had to cut him out. He just pops up, takes a big gulp of air.
Yeah.
And he's talking to Lilu's like, okay, I'll take you guys.
Never sleep under plastic.
No, don't. And he just kind of pops out, and I don't remember exactly what Dallas was talking about. He's just going like, okay, I'll go on the trip, all this stuff. This was a police raid, and yeah, Cornelius just takes like a trophy.
Yeah, Cornelius discovers where the tickets are.
Yeah, he takes the ticket, smacks Corbin on the back of the head, and knock him out.
With some
sort of trophy
or
it was a trophy
or something.
It was like a war trophy or something.
Yeah.
And so basically Cornelius and Lilu have the tickets. Corbin wakes up like a couple minutes later. He
then he lets the
he doesn't let him out.
Well, he opens the door.
He opens the door, takes something out of he takes something out of the dude's hands, and he's like, all right, I accept mission, and then closes the door. And it's like, dude, those people are probably gonna die.
Yeah, exactly.
They're gonna die of like hypothermia, or maybe it's like a cryogenic freezing. Soldier pops. I don't know. They don't explain how they got out of the fridge.
No.
But you don't see the two subordinates again. You just see the main guy.
Yeah, you see the main guy.
Yeah, which I'm like,
He was the one closest to the door.
True. True.
Anybody knows that if you have something that's going to spoil, don't put it in the door. So anyway.
No. So okay, and then there begins another sequence of events where everyone's trying to pretend to be Corbin Dallas to get on the plane,
which is just really boss. I mean, this thing is like a cross between a Concorde airplane and a space shuttle. Neither one currently is active.
No,
but it was really, really cool. They debate who is Corbin Dallas because they took his ID.
Yeah, they took his ID. Basically, Cornelius hands off Lilu and the tickets to his apprentice for some reason. Because apparently, when you're trusting...
Apparently he needed a drink.
Yeah, apparently he needed... Not only did he need a drink, but also, I guess when you are entrusting the entire fate of humanity, you give it to your apprentice.
You want some more?
Yeah. You give it to your apprentice, who is just this nerve-wracking mess. He is just shaking and stuttering like you would not believe.
This kid doesn't have any body hair.
No, this kid doesn't have, like, nothing except the top of his
he's
head.
definitely safe with her.
Yeah.
But, I mean... Yeah.
So,
this kid, if he's not still in puberty, he just got out. I mean, he is a young-looking dude.
Yeah. And Corbin eventually catches up to them with this terminal, and he finds them, and he basically tells the apprentice guy to, hey, thanks for reserving my seats. Now buzz off.
Yeah.
So Corbin actually boards the plane.
Yes.
Between that smoke you dude getting arrested and the terminal scene, the mercenaries, apparently since some of their platoon got blown up by Zerg.
Yes.
They decided to cut ties with Zerg, and they decided they're gonna sneak onto this cruise ship.
Zerg or Zorg?
Zorg.
Zorg.
Yeah, I keep saying Zerg from Buzz Lightyear.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So they basically decide, okay, we are going to sneak onto this cruise. We are going to take the stones, and we're going to make Zorg pay through the nose for these stones after he basically killed a platoon of our guys.
Yes.
Which is kind of fair, but he
just adds attention to the story. You got a revenge motive. Anybody can relate to that. And there's so many elements of the story that's very relatable to the audience.
Oh yeah.
And
revenge, power,
money
love,
control, end of the world. Yeah.
All that stuff.
Dream guy, dream girl.
Oh yeah.
Stuff.
So apparently, what these Mongoloid guys or Mangalores or Mangalore. The problem is when you say Mangalore, I want to say Mandalore.
Yeah,
which is wrong.
That's true
because Mando is awesome.
Yes.
We need to do a podcast about the Mandalorian, the show. The Mandalorian show.
Yeah.
At some point, we need to talk about that, too.
Yeah, we do, because if I have to keep wearing masks at work, I'm going to end up with Yoda ears.
You know what you should do?
Use my picture.
You know what you should do?
What?
Instead of wearing a mask to work, you should just show up with, like, a Mandalore, like, helmet. And just keep quoting the Mandalorian Mandalorian people like, this is the way.
Yes, that's what I'll do.
They can't
I'm not spending money on one. I'll just take that big old tin pail off the back porch and drill a couple holes in it, put me some racing stripes on the side of it. No. Yeah. No, thank you.
I would go to work in full Mandalorian armor.
That makes one of us.
Shut up. All right, so back to the fifth element. Apparently what these mercenaries can do is they can shapeshift.
Yes. They're humanoid.
They're humanoid, and they can shapeshift into other beings.
Yes.
And they capture the dude that they think is Corbin Dallas and basically shapeshift into him. They kill him and, shapeshift into him.
Yes.
So after... Okay, let's see. The real Corbin Dallas.
You talking about the two people that showed up at the ticket window? With the
and then one looked like he was about to puke.
Yeah,
it's because he was de-shifting.
Yeah, and the chick looked like she was like for some ghetto in East Germany.
Yeah, something like that. Shaved head,
plastic dress, and a thong on.
Yeah,
that was.
They came in after Bruce Willis.
Special.
Oh yeah. Basically, David goes back to Cornelius at the bar, who is drinking profusely.
Yes.
After everything that he's just been through, which, to be fair, that's pretty fair.
Hey, sure, why not?
Sure, why not?
Hey, you discharge your responsibilities.
Now I've discharged mine.
Yeah.
So. Basically, Cornelius is like, you know what? You take the key. You go and you're talking to his apprentice David. You take the key. You go to the temple. You open it up. You prepare it, and I will go to the cruise. I will get the stones, and I will, do the thing. So Cornelius just hijacks himself onto the plane.
Yes, he's a stowaway.
He
sneaks in through the
the landing gears.
The landing gear. There you go.
Yeah, and I'm trying to think. Okay, the mercenaries show up. They cause a scene, and then Zorg's assistant, the black guy, shows up.
Yes.
And he's like, "I am Corbin Dallas," and the flight attendant lady is just having none of this guy's nonsense because he's the third person to show up saying that he's Corbin Dallas. First it was David, the apprentice of Cornelius.
Yes.
Then it was the actual Corbin Dallas. Actual Corbin Dallas, Bruce Willis. Lilo Dallas Multipass. And then it was the mercenary disguised as someone else, trying to be Corbin Dallas. Yes. And then you got this fourth dude who's like, I am Corbin Dallas. And she's like, I already have one Corbin Dallas checked onto this flight. Go away. Basically. And she descends into the floor because the flight is fully booked and the counter's closed. She's got to get on the plane. Right. And the assistant's like, I don't believe this. And he's smacking on the door. Yeah, wham. And immediately, he does 2 or 3 smacks, and these machine guns descend from the ceiling and point at him. Yes, and mean business. And they mean business. They're they're stop what you're doing, put your hands on the yellow circles. Oh yeah, that was a very striking image.
when those guns drop down out of the ceiling like that.
Oh yeah, that's pretty brutal. Like you're even vaguely trying to cause destruction of property. You know, they're not screwing around. There's like no security guard. It's like, hey buddy, take it easy. No, it's like
yeah, it's like stop or die. Yeah, no in between.
No,
and there was no questions being asked.
No, it was basically stop what you're doing, put your hands in yellow circles, or we about to cap you.
Yeah.
Well, in a very eloquent and robotic voice, of course.
Turn you into a coffee strainer.
Mm-hmm. More like Swiss cheese.
That'll work too. Plenty of holes there.
Plenty of holes there. Okay, let's see. I'm trying to remember the order of events. The Mangalores, they somehow get themselves on the ship.
So he fails and calls Zorg.
Yeah, the assistant fails. Ooh, Zorg is not happy.
He's like, I'm very disappointed.
I'm very disappointed.
Very disappointed.
And I don't like being disappointed. And he like presses some numbers into that same numpad on his desk. And the assistant's going, I'm sorry, sir, this will never happen again. And Zorg goes, I know it will. He presses one final button, and the futuristic payphone, which didn't age well, let's be fair.
True.
The futuristic payphone this guy was talking into just blows up. So Zorg now just gets another assistant. He gets another lackey.
Yeah.
Whoa, careful.
Sorry.
Or, you know what? Do that closer to the secondary mic, see what that does. Yeah.
Oh.
Because on this mic, it blows it out. But on the second one, we ain't too sure. Yeah. Oh.
I don't know about that. Anyway.
Yeah, I get it. Sorry, we're still doing preliminary tests.
Yep.
Some field tests, if you will. So, now everyone's on the plane to go to the cruise.
Yes.
In space.
In space.
And no. This is it. This is it. Because at first I was going to say, like, okay, now they go to sleep. No, they don't.
No, they don't.
No, they don't, because before they take off. Oh! Lilu gets separated from Corbin. I think they take her to their room or something.
Yeah.
And because here's the thing, it's Corbin that won the contest, right?
Yeah, she says +1.
Yeah, she's the +1, so I think they just take her directly to the room, but he's the one that gets attention.
Right.
And here's the thing, this contest, it's oh, that clipped the mic too, sorry. He gets introduced.
Yes.
To one of the top 3 best parts of this movie.
Absolutely.
There's like this electronic fanfare and just slides into frame this like one-piece leopard print suit.
Oh yeah.
With like it's Chris Rock as Ruby Rod.
It's embarrassing, but he works
so good.
Yeah, it works.
He's like in this one-piece leopard print suit. His hair is like dyed blonde with this cone on the front of his head.
Yeah.
Which actually, I don't want to read too much into it, but it looks like a unicorn, but a unicorn horn is like one straight point. But his unicorn horn is not only a cylinder, it's a hole in the cylinder.
The stereotypical unicorn horn is a male adapter.
Yeah.
And Ruby Rod is wearing a female adapter.
Yeah. Like I said, I don't want to read too much into it. This ain't that type of podcast. No. But you can't help but look and go, hey, wait a minute.
It's an inverted
Is that horn? An inverted horn? Meaning, oh my god.
What?
Like I said, I don't want to read too much into it because you know Ruby Rod is already camp, and that just sends it even further out of the solar system.
Oh yeah.
And he just slides into the frame, spins around with like a scepter, which is his microphone, and goes, Corbin Dallas!
Oh, dude, it's crazy.
And he is just going off the wall.
Off the wall, over the top, overacting, but it works.
Oh my god, it's perfect.
It's so perfect.
I don't want any Ruby Rod haters up in here. Yeah. None. I want 0 Ruby Rod haters.
I especially enjoyed the part where his
cronies.
Yeah, his cronies were his sycophant cronies were sucking up to him.
Oh yeah. Because that's clearly what he needs.
Oh, and he actually they actually got a cigarette lit for him.
Yeah, they did.
That's interesting.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
And nothing really comes of that, but
not really.
It just shows that he's egotistical, at least.
Yes.
And he is.
Yes.
And he is just hamming it up, and he's like, talk to me, C-Man. Talking to Corbin Dallas. He sticks the microphone in his face, and he goes, and Bruce Willis goes, hi, in this big echo effect. And Ruby Rod just spins around and just goes, unbelievable! And just music starts playing. He's
the editing and the way the sequence rolls.
Oh my God.
It jumps around, but it is so good. Yeah, the
editor must have had so much fun editing that together, just to give a semblance of the type of chaotic energy that Ruby Rod
absolutely
excretes.
Yeah. The scene cuts, the jump cuts.
Yeah, the jump cuts, the flashing, the music editing to where it just kind of coalesces with the music.
Kind of crescendos
up, goes down, it just shifts all over the place.
It really works.
Yeah. And he basically just gives a recap of what's about to happen. Yes. Him and Corbin are going to a place called Floston Paradise, and all the radio effects, because he's a radio DJ in the future. Well, I guess podcasts are a thing now, so I guess it would make somewhat sense.
Good chatter is good. Good patter is good patter.
Easy now, Jack and Victor. I know where you got that.
2 pints, you prick.
Yeah, still game watcher.
Yes, love it.
Yeah, we'll get to it one day.
Yes, we will.
Because I know you have so much to say.
I have so much to say.
Especially that one episode in season 8. Go Naveed!
Go Naveed.
Anyway, getting ahead of ourselves.
Yeah.
So, eventually Ruby Rod, he just kind of, he basically it goes to commercial, or it cuts off of his show, whatever happens. And
it's really, you can't verbally break down the nuances of Ruby Rod's character and interaction with the rest of the cast.
We're trying, but you just can't.
I mean, give it a shot with good luck. I mean, it's a once.
He is so chaotic.
It's a performance that is
it's unrivaled.
It's unrivaled to what it is and what it does and what it is in.
If they remade The Fifth Element, which God forbid, who the heck are you going to replace him with?
I mean, you got
who could do that?
Well, then if enough years would pass, you know what they ought to do?
What?
They ought to turn that movie into some kind of Rocky Horror type theater production.
They might.
Could work.
It could work. I would watch a musical of The Fifth Element.
I mean, if I gotta,
but it has to be campy. It cannot take itself seriously.
Like an ABBA musical. I mean, all you really need is a subject matter. But anyway,
fair enough.
He does a tremendous job.
If they can make an Evil Dead musical, they can make a Fifth Element musical.
You know what? That's extremely right.
And the Evil Dead musical is nothing to sneeze at. Well, you kind of have to be a fan of Evil Dead to begin with, but other than that, it's nothing to sneeze at. It's really good.
As long as you bring a tarp to throw over yourself.
Oh, no. They have designated splash zones. You're not going to get wet.
I'm not paying extra money for that.
I would.
Trying to sell those things out there with the popcorn.
But anyway, so basically, as soon as that show's over and the sycophants are done fawning over Ruby Rod, you then get this weird, not the scene itself isn't weird, but you do get this basically opposing ends of the spectrum.
Yes.
This little interaction between Corbin Dallas and Ruby Rod.
Yes.
Where Ruby Rod is obviously this very camp and flamboyant, I don't want to say he's gay because he definitely seduces many a flight attendant.
I think
nowadays they would describe that as very pan. I'm not going to say the other half of that because of YouTube.
Frying pan.
No, pan-esque.
Peter Pan. Lordy, my pan's
You know what I'm getting at? Pan.
I know what you're talking about.
I was about to say, like, I'm trying not to say it because YouTube is weird.
Don't say it.
What?
Don't say it.
Okay, I'm just trying to. He strikes me as
That's right. You folks are as common as flat cookware.
Dude, what the hell? So he strikes me more.
I don't know who's coming to work.
Yeah, Ruby Rod strikes me. He strikes me as more of being a pan more than being gay. Because, like I said, he does seduce many a flight attendant. And then you have Corbin Dallas, who is a very stoic, hard ass. He does have his moments. Focus driven. He does have his tender moments with Lilu, but that's like it with him. And then you got Ruby Rod, who's like, you gotta have some energy. You gotta pump it up. You know, saying
very, very frantic.
Very frantic. You know, trying to get Corbin to interact with the show. And Corbin, he just kind of picks Ruby Rod up off his feet, and he's
by his throat. And holds him against the wall and lets him know what the deal is. Yeah, he tells him what the deal is. Like, I'm not here on vacation. I'm here on a mission. Just chill. Okay? Getting on my nerves.
And then they just kind of go their separate ways. Excuse me. Yeah. Corbin goes back to his cabin, has his little tender moment with Lilu, where she says she's the fifth element and she will protect him.
That's right, and she's finally learned the English language by now.
Yeah, she's better at it. She's still learning, but she's better at it.
Yes. Comunicado.
Oh yeah. And at that point, that's when, depending on what version of the Fifth Element you're watching, kind of comes into play. Because they cut out, there's like one scene where it's Ruby Rod and a flight attendant.
Yes.
And he is like, just going kind of full force at her, but she's still on the clock.
Right.
So she's kind of like...
Yeah, she's not
like trying to
No, stop that. I don't want to do this. She's like, I'm working.
Yeah, I'm working. Which...
Not safe for work.
Yeah, not safe for work, Ruby. It's not like she's trying to throw him off of her. Like, he's not taking advantage of her. She's just in this attitude of, I'm on the clock. Which I can
concerned
understand.
Her work uniform will become disheveled.
Pretty much, which is understandable. Very understandable. She's doing the flight checks. They knock out all the passengers, and the plane is like taking its steps to, go back into space to the cruise.
Yeah.
To Floston Paradise. And it's intercut between the pilots communicating with the people on the ground doing their job.
Oh, yeah.
And the flight attendant who's like...
We're taking off.
Yeah, we're taking off.
Yeah.
The flight attendant who's like, Ruby Rod, I'm on the clock. And he's like, I want all the positions. And he just dives back onto the camera.
Right. Yeah.
And it cuts through all of these.
It was very
well edited scene.
It was very well done.
Mm-hmm.
It was kind of one of those old school comedy movies, the spoofs, and farces about how the takeoff of this big plane
is just fraught with comedy.
Coitus between Ruby Rod and
this lady,
this flight attendant. Yes, it was very interesting and loud.
Oh yeah. So what ends up happening is after that, they get to Floston Paradise. I believe one of the pilots discovers Cornelius in like the wire shafts in the ventilation system.
Something's not working, so they go, "Oh, hey, what's going on?"
Yeah, and then they press a button, and he just falls. He almost falls to the roof, but he's being hung on by these wires.
The electrical cables.
The electrical cables.
He's like suspended in the air.
Yeah, suspended in the air, and
he's a stowaway.
Yeah, that's kind of what happens. And Cornelius goes, "Oh, have we landed?" Pilot's like,
and
yeah.
There's a tension in that sort of scene for an older audience who have a history of reading, such as myself, have a history of reading things related to stowaways on ships.
Yeah.
Which maritime law said that if you found a stowaway on your ship, technically, lawfully, you could just throw them overboard.
Yeah, but this is space.
So that thing kind of popped into my head
as
being that type of dynamic, although...
they're probably not going to get rid of him.
Probably not going to put him out into space.
Yeah.
But then there's that tension there. Ooh, he's a stowaway. Ooh, yeah. They used to kill. They used to
kill stowaways.
Yeah, absolutely.
So let's see.
In that trope,
yeah.
Is that the appropriate term?
I would say
stowaway ship thrown overboard.
Well, to be fair, it I don't think that's as common nowadays.
Absolutely not.
At least in Northern America, because you don't really see that anymore, where stowaways gets thrown over. Because if it's stowaway, it's like the chosen one, or like they basically have plot armor on them, and they're not going to get thrown over.
No, you're right. Yeah. That's an untouchable character.
Yeah, that's what is defined as plot armor. Is someone who, I mean, they might get roughed up, they might get banged up, but they're not going to die.
Right.
Which is kind of an unfortunate thing if you know going into a movie. That's kind of one thing that kind of ruins movies if you are aware of the concept of plot armor.
Some of it is just too blatant and too early established. Maybe that's a better term.
It's like one good way of establishing plot armor, like really hardcore plot armor, is if there's the main character gets in a shootout and they don't have a gun and they're running away, and the bad guys are shooting at him and shooting at him and shooting at him, but all the bullets miss. And I'm like, okay, you have to have a couple bullets hit them, okay? Because here's the thing. Plot armor doesn't mean untouchable. Plot armor should mean they can't die.
I can see that, because, I mean, there's no
tension if you know that they're not going to be hurt.
Well, but there's a certain 2 + 2 = 4. I mean, there's a certain sum of, and there's a certain interactive equation taking place in front of the viewer who expects
something,
a particular outcome.
Yeah.
There's a high probability of it, a high possibility of it, and if you don't get that, sometimes it probably can kill the transition. Absolutely.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, this is why the early days, like the early seasons of Game of Thrones, were so good. Is no one had plot armor.
That guy ain't gonna die. Holy cow! They just killed that dude.
That season 1 through 3/4, maybe a little bit of 5, but not much. But definitely seasons 1 through 4 of Game of Thrones were like,
yeah, you can't even have a favorite character.
No, you can't.
Jesus, that guy gonna die?
Yeah, okay, he gonna die. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, back to the Fifth Element.
Yeah, exactly.
Jesus. So, the planned lanes, I believe Corbin wakes up and Lilu's not there. She already went ahead to the ship.
Right, yeah.
You know, she's being greeted by, she's being greeted with, like, for some reason they have, like, even though this is in the middle of space.
Yeah.
For some reason, they have like a Hawaiian band accompaniment, and they're throwing leis over, like laid necnecklaces.
It was I can tell you, I know exactly what it is.
And I'm like, this is in space. This isn't even close to Hawaii.
Here is your generational context generator.
Please.
It definitely was a throwback to the stereotypical greeting when getting off a ship on an island in the Pacific Rim, and notably to us dwellers in North America, more Hawaiian as a perspective versus other places, but very just like you would associate a dark-haired girl dancing in a grass skirt with Hawaii. And there are those there.
Yeah.
They're in those grass skirts. That is a Hawaiian
thing. Yeah.
Stereotype, whatever.
No.
So that's and then the Hawaiian dude in the top hat.
Yeah, in the feathered headdress, sort of. Yeah. Yeah, we're not sure the exact terminology, but that basically is what happens. And I was just confused. I was like, this is space.
Right.
Is there a Hawaii in space?
I mean,
are these space Hawaiians?
I don't know if you're going to establish a colony and build a theme.
I
mean, that's what you're doing in the story. I mean, like I said, you got to have something for the audience to grab onto.
Sure.
was an element. Yes, that was a bit. Well, I mean, it was another one of those backstory not explained. They just show up and go, oh, hey, they're getting off a cruise ship, and they're getting lace put around their neck and kissed on by girls dancing in grass skirts. So half of the audience already accepts that premise, although they don't really understand, and none of us know specifically. Yeah. So far as watching the movie, I mean, it may have been based on a book, it may have been based on a graphic novel. I don't know. Maybe it's just been a theme that particular afternoon. Well, you don't know. You don't know, but it works. Yeah, and I'm trying to think. The big fat dude playing the ukulele. Yeah. That was the dude with the feathered headdress. Yes, that guy. I'm talking about the guy that had on like the colonial English businessman. He had a suit and a vest and a top hat. Don't think I ever saw that guy. I have to look at that scene again. Sure. But the next thing that kind of happens is I'm trying to remember the order of events because Lilu and Corbin, they kind of get separated because they're both going after the same person. The diva. And I'm trying to think. Yeah, I'm just trying to think, like, what happens first? I think Corbin, he gets led around by the nose by the radio people. They're taking him to his room. Yeah. And Lilu is, like, sneaking aboard the ship because the diva eventually shows up. But here's the thing. You don't know who the diva is exactly. Not really. She's, obviously she's a very large individual, but she's like in this I don't want to say the religion where you can't draw their guy's uniform. No, for the ladies. No, I don't want to say that word. No, but once again, when you're coming from obviously a European production, a very influential United Kingdom, situation. Yeah. There's going to be some of that style integrated in there somewhere. Sure. Basically, the diva is wearing this particular garment where you can't see the outline of her body or head. You can only see the diva's eyes. Yes. Which even then, that's pretty covered up. She's like 7 feet tall. And she's like 7 feet tall. This thing. And I don't want to say the name of this garment, just in case YouTube is listening in, and or someone in the future is like, "Oh man, you're this and that for saying this or not saying this." Yeah, that person can shut up. In the future, I'm telling someone in the future to shut up. Yes. Because apparently I have psychic powers. Travel. Yes, I am. I know all. I know the answer to everything except what a radioactive symbol looks like because I'm dumb. Well, if you take a laser, if you're able to bend it, the beginning of the laser is then, and the end of the laser is now. You can bend lasers. You bend the laser back through itself. You have time travel because you take then. You take now and run it back through then. So there you go. What the fuck are you talking about? Anyway, you're talking to people in the future. We're creating a time machine here. Oh God, I hope not. Morlocks. Oof. So eventually, so basically, the diva's handlers / cohorts, because there's a difference between a handler and a cohort. That's correct. They're definitely in a submissive servant, not dirt servant, but they're definitely not subjugation. They're definitely protecting her and watching her. Yes. And one of them goes to this corner and secretly tells Lilu that they will give her the stones after the concert, which that's fair. Yes. If she came here to do a job, she's gonna do her job. Sure. But that's cool. Yeah. I understand. And then apparently then we cut back to Corbin Dallas, who they're telling him like he's got a tuxedo for the show. Oh yeah, I mean his character. So I mean the way it's written is so good to offset any of the serious. When she's serious, he's not. When he's serious, she's not. Mm-hmm. They really do. The roles really do play off each other very well. Very well written. So
what ends up happening is apparently let's see, I think Cornelius gets hauled to basically the command center.
Oh yeah,
because he's a stowaway and he's like all chained up and he's being interrogated. And the captain says, "Helmsman, blankety blank this direction," and he does that. Then the radio pops up and it's like, "Ooh, we're coming to you from Floston Paradise." It goes back to Ruby Rod. And Ruby Rod and Corbin Dallas, they're like walking to the front row seats. And Ruby Rod, he's all talking about, this and that, and he's introducing that dude, introducing this deaf dude.
Yeah, he's giving the play-by-play.
Yeah, he's giving the play-by-play of the main players at the show.
To the listeners of his podcast.
His little radio show.
Mm-hmm. And so he's doing the play-by-play. He's coming in with Corbin Dallas. Mm-hmm. A lot of fanfare. Him and his posse.
Yeah.
Yes. He had a very large posse. Entourage.
Take it easy there. I know what you're doing.
That word is in the dictionary. Yes.
Yeah, so is the other
like
one.
In the Westerns, a posse.
Yeah.
Anyway, him and his entourage coming in, and he is giving play-by-play of people he knows.
People he's met
and exchanged soft kisses with.
Yeah. Very internet-friendly soft kisses with.
Num.
And the last thing I definitely want to mention before we kind of close up shop for today.
That's right. This is the end of Act 2. We're going into
the third
act with the climax coming next.
The last thing I want to mention is we see that one of the servers at the cruise is actually a shape-shifted mercenary.
One of the ushers.
One of the ushers is a mercenary.
Ushering people to their seat.
Yeah, he's a mercenary.
Is one of the shape-shifting Mangalores.
Yeah, and he heads back upstairs to where his platoon is, and he says showtime because everyone's now in place.
Yeah.
Yep. And that's the end of Act 2 of The Fifth Element.
That's the end of Act 2.
I'm tired.
Yes.
Yeah, it's kind of rough talking about a movie that you really like.
I know. I mean, you can't say enough about it, but you say all you can think of, but then you think of some more.
Yeah, and then you think of some more.
And then you think of some more, and you think of some more. It's just
Obviously, we're not really students of film per se. Like I
don't think we are.
I have more than a passing interest in it. I just had no formal training. I would like some formal training.
Sure.
So that when I talk about movies, I can go, "Oh, the cinematography makes it look. It makes this representation mean this, as opposed to the use of this item in particular it means this." Yeah. And I like that type of stuff, but just to talk about it, it's like, what are you talking about? Why can't a movie just be a movie?
Your story is puerile and missing 3 of the Aristotelian unities. You're like, what?
It's like, what the hell are you talking about?
Pseudoscience.
Mm-hmm. Which, I get it.
It works.
So, especially with the movie The Witch, which... we can talk about that for the Halloween episode.
Oh, yeah.
The Witch.
Yeah, Halloween episode.
Because that's a spooky movie that you've seen.
I've seen it. I like it.
Okay. Looks like we got a little bit of a promo. All right. Next time,
part 3.
Next time, part 3.
Or part 3 of this series.
Part 3 of this series.
Are we going to put them back to back to back?
Well, I definitely want to get the Halloween episode out. We're kind of doing this out of order because our schedules kind of got weird, but I hope no one cares.
Oh, no.
So,
good conversation is good conversation.
No, I get it. We will eventually do the 3rd episode of the Fifth Element trilogy And then we got to do the Halloween episode, which will come out on the 27th?
Somewhere in that week.
Yeah, so this is definitely going to be confusing and shot out of order, but we'll fix it.
Get your pumpkins ready.
Yeah, get your pumpkins ready!
Right.
Well, in the meanwhile, yeah, that's it, folks. I was your host, Bel-E.
And I was your co-host, Scratch.
And we'll see you, dear listeners, next Tuesday. Bye.
Bye.